come in. Okay, real quick. So for those who've never been to any of our meetings before, quick rundown of Robert rules and just the way we run decorum in the meetings. So the idea is that we have a set agenda. We're going to go through each agenda topic. And I don't yield the floor until after all agenda topics have been talked about. Then, as which, when I yield the floor, we open it up first to officers, and then after officers go, then we open the floor up to members. At certain instances, as we go through different agenda topics, we may yield the floor to questions from all members. But again, in the interest of getting through all the different topics, I ask to, again, hold your comments, questions until the end, until the floor is yielded, out of respect for the 30 plus people that are in the channel. Because if we all just start interjecting, our ability to get through within an hour is greatly diminished. More importantly, whenever you do have a question, make sure that it's a question that is relevant for the group. If it's a more individualized question, a personal question that relates to your own endemic situation, just talk to me on the side privately. I'm available. You can send me a mail, whisper, etc. during the meeting. I may not respond to you while the meeting is going forward, but know that I've read it, I've acknowledged it, and then as soon as the meeting's over, I'll probably reach out to you or send a mail to you if you log off. So again, if you have a question, make sure it's pertinent for the group, because you have to be respectful of the time of the 30 plus people on the channel. And then if it's something for yourself, again, just contact me separately. If I don't respond, don't think I'm ignoring you. So real quick, that's just a rundown of how we conduct the meetings, how we keep order through the meetings. I would greatly appreciate if you could respect those rules. It's very important if we're going to get through all this. So first thing, just to kind of go back, is what is the agenda? So we have a few different topics that we have to talk about today, especially with the expansion coming out so soon. There'll be a lot of changes. So there's 7 different topics I want to talk about today. The first topic that we need to address is, I consider it housekeeping. These are housekeeping items to me. What I'm going to try to do, though, as I go through this process is we're going to try to memorialize the contract. The idea is that we're trying to create a social contract between those who join Blood Pact, who are part of the community, and therefore espouse the ideals and beliefs of what we're trying to achieve. Because by joining the guild and being part of the guild, that is an acceptance of the rules and laws of which we abide and live by. That's very important because we are our own standard bearers, right? That it's important that we're able to hold ourselves accountable, and more importantly, I think anyway, is to practice everything that we try to implement, especially as we have new members. It's vital that it doesn't just come from me, but it comes from the bottom up. I'm not a fan of top down. I think everything should always be bottom up. I think that I could tell you things all day long, but when you live it, when those virtues become part of your day-to-day, I think that speaks more volume than anything I could ever tell you. So the social contract is important because this is the agreement we have with each other to hold each other accountable. Because the idea is that when we slack off, when we don't live these virtues, the reality is we don't hurt just ourselves, we're hurting everybody else in our raid. Because whenever we're not playing to our potential and to our best, the reality is everyone else in our party suffers from that. Because when we go to raid, right, our raid experience isn't just limited to ourselves, it's limited to the other 30 plus people in the channel. And we have a duty to those people, a responsibility, right, to make sure that the raid is the best raid we can possibly do. There's going to be times we win, there's going to be times we lose. But when we lose, we want it to be because we gave everything we had, and it just wasn't enough. And maybe next time we get out there and we improve and we get better, maybe it will be. But at that moment, it wasn't. We never want our failures to be the result of our own ineptitude or laziness, right, because we weren't willing to put out the effort we need. We play about 20 hours a week at this point, right? So this is a pretty passionate hobby. This isn't something that we kind of just casually do like Hello Kitty online, right? This is something that we're raiding almost 5 times a week, several hours at a time, coupled with all the time that we play outside of just the raid. Clearly, this is something that we're all pretty passionate about, and we try to create a community that I think embodies that. So it's important that we live that. So what is the social contract? What does that mean? That gets into the first part, which is the expectations for the members. So my first priority is focusing on new members and the onboarding process, right? Because I think it's easier to make sure that when we invite people to the guild that we're transparent with them. I think it's important that we're transparent because I think that when you join the community, I think you should know all the rules, so that way you can make an informed decision of whether or not this is a good home for you. I don't like when someone's been in the guild for 6 months and then all of a sudden they get all these new rules and then it's like, well, I have all these friends. Now I don't know if I should be in the guild anymore. I'm torn. What do I do? I don't ever want to create that situation for you, because the game is also an opportunity for all of us after we get home from work, just have fun, right? So when the community changes, it kind of puts everybody in a bad spot. So my focus right now is on new members, right? And we're going to talk about that, but also there is some new requirements. I don't believe they're new. I think it's more the enforcement of the rules, right, that we've already kind of talked about. So what are those things? So the first thing, I want to make sure I walk everybody through this, because I think part of it is I have to practice what I ask. So I did this yesterday. It took me 30 seconds. I think it's a very easy thing to do, and I think it will greatly improve your ability. My thoughts just from using it for the last day, I've been completely blown away with all the different abilities and just insight it gives me into my own play. It'd be terrible of me not to share it with you. So the first thing is, and again, if your computer doesn't work with it, that's a different discussion, right? That's a limitation that's beyond you, right? But laziness, that's different, right? You have to put the effort out. So the first thing is this, right? Everybody right now, while you have a moment, if you haven't done it, go to that link. It takes you 30 seconds. I will walk through with you. I don't mind. That's why we have everybody together at once, so we do it all at once. And then subsequently, as we invite new members into the community, we will onboard them as they come. But we also need to make sure that we take care of the group that we have today, right? So go to that link. Once you're in that link, I will walk you through the next steps. So I'll give everybody about like 10 seconds or so. Situated, go to that link. So if you don't know where I post that link, I'm not in game. I'm minimized. I posted it in the meeting hall chat box. I'll give everybody, like I said, about 10 seconds or so, and then we'll walk through the next step. Perfect. So next up, you should see an index of ArcDPS x64. You should see there should be a few different programs: parent directory, arcdps.ini, build templates, right? d3d9.dll, d3d9.dll.md5 sum, and then the reshade loader. What you care about, at least for the moment, is the one that says d3d9.dll, right? That is the one you care about. So what you want to do is just left click real quick on d3d9.dll. Click on that. Download that. Is super fast. The size of it, right? Look how small it is. Very easy, very quick. You will have it done by the time I stop talking. Left click on that, and then what will happen is you're going to want to click show folder, right? So just left click on that, download that right to your bar. Then once it's finished download, just left click on it, right click on it, go to show folder. It'll pop up, and then you can see the file that you just downloaded. And once you've done that, I want you to just highlight it and copy it real quick. So again, just copy the file. So like I said, I go to that website, go to d3d9.dll, left click on that, download that down to your browser, right click. Once it finishes download, show in folder. Once it shows in folder, right, then copy it. And I'll give everybody,
if you're having an issue with it.
I'll give you again another 30, 40 seconds to get caught up. And then back to Connor's point, if you have questions, if you get lost, if you get confused, ping me, poke me in TeamSpeak or one of the officers. It's fine. You're not going to offend anyone. We're walking you through because I want to make sure that the rising tide raises all boats here, right? It doesn't work if just I want to get better. It only works if we all do. So once you get a second, you download that, show in folder, then copy the file. Awesome. Next, you're going to go to your start menu, you're going to go to your program files. You can go to documents, you can go to program files that way, you can go to network, program files that way, right? If you're unsure how to get to your program files, let me know. It will be on your local computer, then you can go to your program files. Then once you're in your program files, you will then go to Guild Wars 2. Once you are in your program files and then in Guild Wars 2, I'll give you another moment so you can get caught up. So let me give everybody about a minute or so to get to that spot. Again, if you have questions, just ask. I don't mind answering any of your questions. So again, you copied that file, then you went to either your network or your local computer, and then you drilled all the way into that program file. You drilled into the Guild Wars 2 folder, and then you're at the Guild Wars 2 folder waiting for that next step. Like I said, I'll give everybody a minute. That way, I know not everyone's as quick with computers as others.
Poke Grim, poke Drummer, poke me. I had major issues that Drummer had to walk me through. We finally figured out it on mine. So if you're having issues, let us know, please.
Yep, don't mind. Again, the whole reason why we do these meetings is so that way we can get everybody on the same page with the same vision in the same direction together at once. Said, once we get to 8:15, we'll go to the next step, which is all you're going to do once you get to the Guild Wars 2 file is you're going to go to the bin64 folder. Right, so you're going to go to the bin64 folder. Now, you may have 2 bin64 folders. If you do, make sure to put it in both. Extra copies of it won't hurt you. It can only help you. So sometimes it's good to be redundant, right? Just to make sure that it works. So again, you should see in your Guild Wars 2 file, say bin64. You may have multiple. Let me know if you're confused. And all you do is you copy paste that file, that little file, that D3, D9.dll file. You just copy paste that right in. You just put that right into your bin64 folder. You don't have to do anything else. And then when you restart your client, which I'll give everybody a minute or two to do, right, is that once we get everybody up to snuff and they put that file in there, we'll restart everybody's client, and I'll show you the next stuff. We'll walk you through the new overlay that you just put into your game, which will, I think, heighten your gameplay experience. It'll make you more profoundly impacted in terms of what you're doing well, what maybe you're not doing as well, and also what your teammates are doing, and maybe give you insight in terms of how to increase the effectiveness of your play. So again, you went to program files, you went to Guild Wars 2. Once you went to Guild Wars 2, you went to the bin64 folder. You may have multiple. Again, just put that copy that we made earlier right in there. If you have 2, put it in both. And once you put it in both, then what you want to do is you want to exit the game, relaunch your client, and you're ready to roll. And you log back in, and it should pop right up on your screen. And I will give everybody until about 8:20 to do it.
Just a note on that, you have to go through the actual client. If you have one of those shortcuts that bypasses the launcher, it won't actually run ArcDPS.
Other question. If you X this, does anyone know how to get it back up?
Alt-Shift-T.
Thank you.
Again, you might want to just write that in the team chat. So Kazi, what you just said, you might want to write that, and then also the shortcut command to make it pop back up if you accidentally write that too. Just so that way everyone sees it, they know it, and then also we should probably put really good information like that. When we get a second, we'll put it into our spreadsheet of everything. That way it's memorialized. Let me put the
User joined your channel.
And then what was the command to make it come back up? Alt Shift what? 9?
T.
C?
T. Tango.
He is in Tango.
And then Kazi, what was your point about the launcher? You're saying that if they use a shortcut instead of actually starting up the client from start or something?
If you're not
Yeah.
using the 64-bit launcher, then it won't work.
Yeah, you can't use the no patch UI shortcuts.
Yeah, so again, I guess for anyone who was worried for modifying your game, this has been approved. There's no special advantage one gets in the middle of combat from this. It's more the learning that you get, that residual, right? So you won't get banned, you won't get blocked. And I would encourage you not to send crash reports. I would send no bug reports, no crash reports. But simply doing this to your game in and of itself won't get you, in case anyone was worried about an elephant in the room or something.
The recent updates have actually been co-developed with one of the developers.
The recent updates are amazing, and I'm going to walk everybody through it in about 1 minute. So make sure you log out of your game, restart your client, so that way you can see what we're going to talk about. And again, when we start talking about that social contract, to me, what I just did, I just spent time, my time, help walk each and every one of you through this process. I hope that you respect me and everyone else in this channel by using that time to do so. And that if you didn't, that's disrespect not just to me, but to everyone else in this channel whose time you wasted, right? It is expected for all members to do this,
User joined your
right?
channel.
Because we want to get better. Wanting to get better is why we're here. And if you don't want that, this is probably not a good place, because I'm going to make sure I will go through as we test these, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to ask you things that you're only going to know if you're running the Arc DPS. And if I find that you are not running it, right, I will remove you, because now not only did you disrespect my time, you lied to me on top of it, right, over something as frivolous and as silly as something that takes 30 seconds to do. Which bugs me more, because I spend over 20 hours of my time each week leading raids. At least I hope you can give back his 30 seconds to do that. So again, make sure you're doing this. This is not something to just wait for Grim to shut the fuck up. I'm just making sure. Restart your client. Make sure you're ready, so we'll walk through it, because I don't want to waste my time walking through all these really cool features when it falls on deaf ears. Okay, so 8:20. Everybody 1 more minute in case people need to restart their client. And then I will walk you through some of these really cool things, because I'm at a point now where I run 3 different tables while I'm playing. I run my personal skill table, my area stat table, and I run my my outgoing table, my buff table. And I'll tell you why. I'll walk you through all the different cool features, and more importantly, how you can use this each raid to see and measure how your performance is. And I'd urge each and every one of you to spend the extra 5 minutes each raid even grabbing a note. You can grab a notebook or put it in Excel. I would record, like going to the gym. I don't know if anyone ever does this when they go to the gym. Say you want to track your progress. First off, I don't know if anyone knows this in general, but a lot of studies show that if you want to achieve goals in this world, that if you write them down and you create a contract with yourself, something tangible, and give it flesh, something that you can see, and remind yourself of the obligation you created for yourself. Not something that you set in your mind and discard a day later, but something every day is a visible reminder of what you're trying to achieve, no matter what it is, no matter how big or small. It will help you achieve that, and your rate of success in achieving it is over 80% more than those who don't write it down. I urge you to always, in anything you do, to write it down. If you have something in this world you want to achieve, write it down. For something like this, each raid, right, all you should do is just write. If your job is to
User
cleanse,
joined your channel.
write how many cleanses you're doing. See if you're improving or not. Right? Because it tells you how effective you are. The same with your damage, the same with your abilities, all that stuff. You should track your performance. your spike DPS, your max DPS. Challenge yourself to get better and better each raid. How can I improve my DPS from the time before? How can I improve my healing from the time before? How can I cleanse better than the time before? Next week, when that Spellbreaker comes out, when that Scourge comes out, this thing tracks your boon strip. And I'm going to walk you through how you can check that. So you can see how well am I playing my class, because everyone's so fixated on the damage, but the reality is what moves mountains, what changes the dynamic of the fights, is all the other things you can't see, which is the Kandi cleansing, the mitigation with the boons, right? The debuffing, and then more importantly, in the new meta, it's going to be about boon strip. And the team that boon strips the best is the team that wins the most. And if you don't boon strip, you're not going to win. And we're going to talk about that. So I'm going to walk you through the three big things. So first things first, you see you have an area stat table, right? And then you'll see it says outgoing damage, hostile per second, and window. Awesome. Go to window. If you left click on window, it will show you a host of other metrics that you can get visibility into, which is pretty cool. So first, the first one that says area stat, the one that you see, that initial one that pops on your screen when you download this, that's really cool because every time we go into combat, it starts to track, and now it can track several things depending on what you want. The initial default setting is to track damage, right? Outgoing damage, right? Meaning damage you do. But it's not limited to just that. You can also track how much damage you're receiving. Right, and you can utilize that to strategize, to sit there and say, how am I doing positioning-wise? Right? Because if I see that every fight, Grim's taking 2,000 less DPS than me, or Drummer's taking a 500 DPS less than me, I start to say, why? Right? And start to see, am I taking more damage than others? Why? Because a lot of times, it's positioning. And it will help you understand, are you doing well? Maybe you need to improve. Maybe you need to ask somebody a question. This will tell you who to ask, because you'll see it. It won't just be once. It won't just be twice. You'll see consistency over time, right? The first thing they teach you is know who to ask a question to, right? It's all about knowing who has the right information, because you don't want to learn the wrong thing. This will help guide you to that person. The other thing you can also check on this, you can also, if you go where it says damage, where it says hostile, right? You can show friendly, you can show the healing, so you can show buffs, you can show the buffing per second, you can show it as a percentage, right? You can show healing per second, you can show anything you like on that area stat. And now how it works is every time you enter combat, once one member of your raid enters combat, it will start. And once the last person is out of combat, it will stop. So what does that mean? It means that there's going to be a delay, because there's going to be times where you're probably not going to be damaging. So then, Grim, how can I get even more information about how effective I am if I know that sometimes my damage per second is not always indicative of my performance, given the fact that there's going to be dead time of which I'm not damaging, but combat is still going on, thus reducing my damage per second or my healing per second or the damage mitigation that I'm receiving? That's a great question. All you have to do is left click on your name in the table. Once you left click on your name or any other person in the raid's name, you can now see your performance over the entire time you were in combat. And what's even cooler is it records each iteration. So as we go through the raid, you can track and see. This is super important, because you'll see when your lowest damage was or your lowest healing was. You'll see your most damage. It'll show you your max. It'll show you your spike, because a lot of times it's not about sustained damage, right? When you're raiding in a PvE setting, sustained damage is usually more relevant, right? In traditional large raid formats. In PvP, it's anything but sustained damage. It's almost always predicated on spike damage. It's about overloading the person relative to the amount they can heal in that second to create the downs, right? And you want to see it. So let's say Leaf's damage. Wow, she's doing great damage per second. But what I really care about is, we know her whole build is predicated on wells. Well, if her whole build is predicated on wells, then it's all about that spike. Well, I want to see that spike. Because if she can get her spike up to a certain level, I don't give a fuck who you are. There's no way to heal through it. And then you can kind of see, and you can min-max, and you can go from there. And then when you go to that detail, right, for everyone who left-clicked on that table, you can now see crit rates. You can see your miss rates. You can sit there and see how much you're moving. You can sit there and see how many times you're rezzing people, how many times you're stripping boons, how many times you've been stripped, how many times you're outgoing cleanse, how many times you're getting cleansed from others, right? You can see how many times you're using your dodge, right? How many times you're interrupting the enemy, how many times you're evading, and also when you're canceling. Besides the fact how many times you're down, right? You can see a lot of really valuable information. Recommend familiarizing yourself with that table. But that's not the only cool feature you can do. If you go to the window, and now you can go to the buff table. And the buff table is really cool because right now it's not a good example because we're not in a raid format, so you can really get to see the value of it. But you'll start to see your uptime on all your buffs. So you'll start to be able to track to say, hey, I'm playing a support class. I want to know how well am I putting up, my Fury, Alacrity, right? If I'm playing Mesmer, right? I'm looking for quickness. Might, how good is my might uptime? This will show you. This will show you where you're having gaps in your boons. And it doesn't have to just be outgoing. It can be incoming too, right? So you can really do so much with this. The buff table is really important. If you're a support class, you need to be looking at the buff table. I'm constantly looking at my buff table to understand how well I'm doing for my team and where I can improve or where I'm getting gaps. The third thing, and this is where I think is one of the most important if you're playing a damage-based class, is if you go to the window and you go to personal skills, you'll see in personal skills, which I think is awesome. Throughout a combat, every single ability you used, including Condi damage, and the percent that ability makes up of your total damage. Meaning, where the hell is your damage coming from? And you can change that, right? It can be incoming, it can be friendly, right? So meaning you can also show your healing too, your healing effectiveness. Not limited to that, just the default is damage. You can see, okay, well 30% of my damage is coming from burn. Well, maybe I should be maximizing that. Maybe I should be thinking about playing for that. Or maybe I've been so fixated on this ability, but in actuality it's only 10% of my damage. Instead of giving more attention to something more pertinent that does even more damage than that. But I didn't realize it because I wasn't able to quantify it. But now I can. Now I can sit there and see, what should I be trying to focus on? What should I be maximizing? And then in my build, how can I amplify what is really my bread and butter? And then maybe I should spend a little less time focusing on the things that really aren't. But again, this will now show you that, when previously you couldn't really see it. I learned for me that my burn damage far exceeded most of my other damage. And that I needed to kind of reevaluate how I was playing my class in terms of the way I ran my rotation of what I thought was the most damage I was doing. Wasn't really the case. I've been playing for 5+ years. So I would tell anybody that always assume you know nothing, be a blank slate, be willing to learn. These tools will help you. If you have questions about Arc DPS, I'm happy to answer them. I know a lot of other people have been running it. They're happy to answer it for you as well. I feel like I walked you kind of through it. I showed you the detailed summary. I showed you all the different things you can learn about when you're playing. I explained the mechanics of how it works. We walk through the 3 different areas, right, that I think are the most relevant, but don't just take my word for it. Play with every one of them, because I could be wrong, right? And maybe you'll see something insightful that could help us all move to that next level. Fucking share it, because I want to hear it. I don't care who's right or wrong. I just want to get better. So if you see something or can learn something or glean a piece of information, especially think of it like this. When we are doing the expansion with the new meta, this is what's going to put us over the top. Because as you're theory crafting and making new builds, this is how you're going to figure out whether it works or it doesn't. Because you'll have real, quantified data to compare against your performance. To say, this build works, this build doesn't. This ability works, this doesn't. This is effective, this isn't. You need to use this because if we want to make sure we get to meta as fast as possible, faster than every other guild, you're going to need to do it. Because other people are going to take 4 or 5 months, we should be able to do it in a month. And once we all have legendary gear, our ability to go in and out of metas by incorporating this into our style of play will be so much more fluid. Because then as soon as we all come to an agreement, we just switch our stats in 10 seconds. And we're like, oh, this is the way to do it. And as we learn more, we can switch it somewhere else. So anyway, I just want you guys to realize how powerful of a tool it is. I spent a lot of time on this. I hope just by hearing me spend this much time, you can realize how important I think it is. So, Riom, if you're in TeamSpeak's channel, if you look in the chat, you'll see, I think it's Alt-Shift-T. It will reopen your windows. Anyway, I hit on the ARC DPS. So again, I expect all members to be running this. Now, if you have computer issues of which to limit you, that's a different discussion. Talk to me. Let me know. Hey, I can't get it to work. We got some, literally, IT experts. They will help you. And if it's too insurmountable where you have to reinstall your Windows or something, okay, you can't use it. You can't use it. It's not a big deal. But you tried. You didn't try, though. I don't want you here because I want to try. I want to get better, and I think a lot of other people do too. And you shouldn't hold them back. You should be wanting to grow with them. So that's ARC TPS. Okay, next, okay, super important, mics. Everybody should have a mic. Do you need to sit there and be a chatty Cathy and talk all the time? No. But you should have one. Because you're playing a game, you're playing a PvP game, playing high skill level in real time. And if you really want to take advantage of everything offered up, why handicap yourself by not being able to communicate to your teammates? Because there's so much information you can tell me that I can process in real time that will help make me a little bit better. And if you can't tell me it, I can't process it, I can't incorporate it, and more importantly, then I can't get better. So everyone needs a mic. In 2 weeks, I will do mic checks. If you do not have a mic, you will be removed. Unless you have a real life situation because you can't talk because of certain things, and we can talk about that privately. We can discuss it. I'm open-minded. If you can't talk once in a while, not a big deal, right? You know, Cinderella's son is next to her. She can't talk. That's a random occurrence. It's an anomaly. But if you're basically saying every single raid for months on end, I refuse to ever talk because, you know, you guys make me nervous. Because, you know, got Nurgle talking about Berber, you know, baby Gerber shit. I get that. But don't worry. Right? We're all goofing around. We're all joking. We're all having fun. If anyone ever makes you uncomfortable, joking aside, you can always talk to me. But that should never be the reason why you can't use a mic. Everybody here can use a mic. And if you have an issue financially with getting a mic, talk to us. There's a bunch of us who can get you cheap mics pretty quickly, and we can mail it to you. It's not a big deal to us. Right? I don't give a crap about spending $10 if it can make you a better player. I don't mind. Let me know. Because I don't want there to be an obstacle in the way for us moving forward. So next guild meeting, October 8th, the expectation is everyone to have a mic. Going forward from that guild meeting, I will do mic checks in raids. If you do not have a mic, you will be removed. If you are unable to talk for that raid during that mic check, I will do it again, and I will give you 3 strikes. You get 3 strikes. By the 3rd strike, you're out. No excuse. Okay? There shouldn't be any justification. Everyone should have a mic. And I feel like we've been pretty open about that. That's not a new thing. And the difference is I have to enforce it. I have no choice but to enforce it. Otherwise, I'm hurting everyone. I'm hurting me in particular. Because by being lax and not enforcing rules, it encourages further persistent rule breaking and more importantly, it undermines the integrity of what we're trying to achieve. So that's the second one. Third one, meta new builds. When we go into the expansion, everyone is to run the builds. There's going to be times we experiment, and then there's going to be times where we say, you know what, let's try this build. If not, try it for 3 hours and then go try a new flavor. It's no, let's give this a real effort try, because for most of the builds to succeed in large raid formats, everyone knows that they need to be duplicative, meaning one person running it does not show effectiveness. You need 4 or 5 people running it, right? Because the way the builds are built is usually to amplify a certain stratagem that we're trying to achieve. So it's imperative that we're all working in unison, right? So what we do is, for those who are new, as we go in expansion mode, right, what we do is, or whenever there's new meta, everybody, I want you kicking in ideas. I want everybody theory crafting and coming up with cool things and testing it out, because the idea is, let's get everything on the table and play with it and put something amazing together, try it. So real quick, quick story. So they did a study. Some of you guys might have actually done this. They do this a lot with different leadership groups, where they give you, you know, straws and tape, and you have to make this tower, you have to make this structure, and you have to make this structure as big as physically possible, and you only have like 10 minutes to do it. Okay, and the material's flimsy, you have like 8 people, and you have to just build, and make this thing as high and as large as physically possible. And it's funny, because when you get certain people in a room, CEOs, doctors, right, people who are used to leading, right, put them all on the same team. Imagine how that goes, right? They have an idea, it's hard for them to compromise, hard for them to figure out how to work with another person and make it happen. And 90% of the time, they usually only build 1 or 2 structures, meaning they all discuss for like 6 minutes, and then they build. And what you find is, you take a team of kindergartners, 6-year-olds, you put them together, where there's no preconceived notions of social status and class and intelligence, right? And you put them together, and almost every single time the kindergarten group will beat the CEOs, the doctors, every single time. And the reason why they win is because they don't talk for 6-7 minutes and try 1 or 2 things. They try like 20 things. On average, they try 12, when most adult groups only try 2 to 3. It's about constantly going through iterative processes together as a group, dispelling titles, and just seeing what works. And you will be amazed what you'll be able to accomplish over the next 3 to 4 weeks with everybody throwing ideas into the soup and just building. Now, there's going to be pushback. People are going to challenge ideas, and we're going to test them. And they're not all going to succeed. But the idea is that it's not like we made a build, this is the build. No. There's going to be so many different builds. Don't get tired, get excited, because this is finally the one time in the game where you don't go to metalbattle.com to get your stupid build. You get to use your creative reasoning and deduction to come up with the new way to play this game. You get to define the way the game should be played for thousands of people. That's exciting. That's what you should want. So, giving you that heads up, when we do builds, we test as a group, we work as a group, we brainstorm as a group. It's coming. Heads up, it's coming. It's in a week. So I hope that story kind of gives you a little bit of insight on how to think of this and how to play this, and to know that we don't just build edifices to the sky, that we're trying our best to do what's, in my opinion, best for all of us. It's not about whose idea it is. It's not about whether it's right. It's about doing what's best, no matter where it comes from. So we talked about RTPS. We talked about mics, right? We talked about builds. Super important. Super important. Now, another thing I think is still really, really important, but it's not as integral in terms of our ability to raid. But I think it's really important in terms of our ability to communicate and disseminate information readily. I think is very important in order to have meetings like this, to share information as quickly as possible, to get better as quickly as possible. And the way we do that is, for those who don't know, right, we have our Facebook group. Again, a lot of people literally just use a fake account. You know, I think Space, you just said you just created your fake account. I think Leaf uses a fake account. You know, I use my real account so that way Nurgle can call me Patrick in the middle of like the day and just creep me the fuck out, right? Like you can do whatever, right? So I linked it. This is for everyone. Join it. It's well worth it. There's nothing but good information constantly posted. I mean, I've been super impressed. Ethan throws out all the stuff with the legendaries, and then I got Nurgle posting stuff about the build template, you know, and Wolf is sitting there constantly posting stuff for the videos. And actually, I'm going to use that as a segue to an idea that we're going to be kicking off. But the point is, this is our ability as a group, when we're not in the game, when we're busy with real life, to do whatever we're doing, be able to constantly just check your phone and see what's up. Because now, with everybody having smartphones, it's just a really nice way to always be plugged in. There's no expectations on it. It's literally just a way for us all to communicate. Whether there's a hurricane and I'm not going to be around, and it's a way to say, hey, I'm not going to be around. Or it's a way to say, hey, we have a guild meeting in 2 weeks. Or, you know, I've had tons of people, like Argo. Argo goes, oh, I got my birthday is in 2 weeks. I can't go to the meeting. Awesome. Right? So, get a chance, join the group, make a fake account, join the group. You will be very surprised how much closer it brings everybody, because like there's like 110 people at this point in the Facebook group. It's a huge group, right? And there's constant activity every day, so highly recommend. So the next thing that we're going to do, we're talking about doing this. This is something we're trying to get off the ground. This is new. Bear with us, trying our best. What I'm going to try to do is, we're taking a lot of the footage that we're doing, we're going to take a lot of the training that we're doing, the lectures that we're going to make, everything that we think can help enhance our ability to grow, and we're going to create like a Blood Pact YouTube channel, like playlists and things. And the purpose is to have different people, you know, that like are really good at, you know, their classes, right? It could be, you know, Sithfu could be in the guild hall, and he could be breaking down the mechanics of Scourge, right? Or, you know, Celis is doing Spellbreaker, or whatever. The idea is to walk you through, to give you a visual tool to see the rotation, right? To hear the rationale and reason behind certain things, right? It could be when I'm doing like we were doing the other day with the lecture on positioning. And that's just an amuse-bouche, if you will, of all the other subsequent lectures that will come on a host of different topics. We used to do this all the time. I used to do, when I was on Dragon Brand, I used to bring in guest speakers who, they could be, I mean, I used to have some of the best GVG guild leaders come in and talk, right? We used to have some of the best PPT guys come in and talk. It's the same, it's like a TED Talk for Guild Wars. The idea is that there's so much knowledge out there, why not learn it? And distill it in a quick, easy format for all of us to learn from. So what we're going to start doing is try to compile footage. We're going to put it on there, and we'll put it up here in the link in the information center. So that way, I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of a nerd junkie about that stuff. When people post videos and stuff, I love it. I like reading them, watching them, hearing people, hearing their ideas. I always do it. Whenever, you know, anybody posts their footage, I usually watch it at some point. I'll be at work at lunch, eating a sandwich, watching, you know, Wolf Not Press, you know, fucking retreat. You know what I mean? It's just, but I like doing that. I hope other people do too. It's just an opportunity to do it. So that's something we're working on. We're trying to do it, and that segs into the next piece, which is recording. So we're going to start GVGing again, especially because of the new expansion and the new build and the new meta. The best way figure out what works is to scrim, because you're testing it, right, in a more controlled environment where you remove a lot of variables, ceteris paribus, all else equal, right? And you're like, hey, what works, what doesn't? Oh, I thought that was a really good idea, and then Deanne had a way fucking better idea, and it kicked my ass. Let me do that, right? And by putting yourself in a scrim, it gives you that opportunity. So we're going to be scrimming. We're going to be scrimming as much as I can get them. You know, probably try to do at least one a week. Maybe more, depending on if you guys enjoy it, if you guys are having fun. So what I want out of that is to record. So what I'm hoping is, again, I know that not everybody has a computer that can record, but I've been recording. A bunch of people have been recording. when we do scrims, I would love if every person who participates in the scrim to record. If you can't record because you have a system limitation because your rig's just not good enough, just let me know. I'm not going to kick you out of the scrim for that, but I expect that if you have a system rig that is good enough, I expect you to record for the scrims, because in the scrims, it's very much fight starts, fight ends. It's super easy to just kind of get a quick 3-minute clip, 2-minute clip, versus, in a large worldview world, you know what I mean? Fights can kind of just happen whenever, and you're constantly recording the entire 3-4 hours. You're parsing through, multiple gigs of data. I get it. It's not as easy. But when you're scrimming, it's super easy because when the fights stop and start, and it's very much regimented. So anyway, my goal is with the scrims, if you're in this scrim, I want you to record. Everyone should be recording. If you can't record, I will talk to you privately. We will, if it's a system limitation, it is what it is. But I want you to come tell me that it's because your system can't do it, not because you're lazy and you don't want to get better. Don't want that. As we go through the expansion, we will figure out who the class leaders are. I don't have class leaders right now because I don't know who's going to be good at what class and who's going to play what. Because you might find that you had a vision for Scourge, and then as the meta really materializes, what you wanted to do with that Scourge and what it's best at might not be your playstyle. And don't be surprised, because last expansion that happened multiple times for people, where they wanted to play it a certain way, and then it became more of a support role, or a support class became more of a damage class. I mean, ask Candy, right? I mean, Mesmer, traditional gank Mesmer, and what Mesmer is now, they're way different, right? I mean, it's a way different play style. Not everybody wants to play a Boon Share Mesmer or a Resistance Mesmer when they used to play a gank Mesmer and a PU Mesmer. Right? It's a very different style. Your class could evolve. So sometimes people evolve with it. Sometimes they pick a new one. I don't know yet who's going to be the class leads. But based on who gets comfortable with the meta, then we'll go from there. So I just wanted to put that out there because I know people have been asking me about that, and I wanted to touch on that. So I apologize that this meeting is longer than normal. The rationale for that was just because it's right before the expansion, and we're not going to have another one until October 8th. And then because of the hurricane, we weren't able to have the previous. So I feel like I'm trying to pack a lot in a very short time window. So we talked about all of the different expectations, right? We talked about running builds. We talked about the mic. Talked about our TPS. We talked about the Facebook group. We talked about recording. Right? Last thing that I'm trying to go back to that we always did for 8+ years, and I'm going to be more stringent on it, is when we have meetings are mandatory. When we raid 20+ hours a week, for 40+ hours of raiding, to have an hour or two meeting, I think that's more than worth it to constantly help keep us shepherded in the right direction. You can't make it. All you have to do is just tell me, an officer, post it on the Facebook group, send a mail, right? Just take 10 seconds of your time if you know in advance you're not going to be there. And if it's, some emergency came up, Remus had a kid, right? And there's something that happens with his family and he can't be here and he didn't know he was planning on being here, and then something happens. Well, all you have to do is, when I talk to you or I send you a mail, say, hey, I would prefer you to be proactive, by the way. I never want to chase you down. Just let the person know when you get back, right? But I'm going to employ the 3-strike rule. If you miss 3 meetings with unexcused absences, meaning you didn't say, hey, something came up, hey, real life, work, whatever, family, trip, vacation, you wanted to go to the, whatever. The game is always secondary to life. All we're asking is the courtesy to just let us know, right? So I saw a couple people, I whispered them and they went right offline. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. I had to kick your ass. I have no choice. Like, come on. Right? So just mandatory meetings. I don't like calling things mandatory because I want to create a community where I don't have to ever say something's mandatory. It becomes ingrained in the culture. But to get to that point, I got to weed out the people who are unwilling to embody the culture. I apologize for calling it that. I hate forcing things. That's not my style. But I will do it if I have to shape the culture. Okay. We talked on the meta. Raid comp, right? I'm going to be running at least one Scourge and at least one Spellbreaker in each party. I'm probably going to run 2 Dragon Hunters in a party. Probably going to go back to playing Pirate Ship. I'm probably going to run a Gank. I'm going to run a backline Revenant. I'm going to run backline Ellies. I'm running range DPS. I am playing Pirate Ship. That's my initial plan. Maybe it's going to blow up in my fucking face and it'll look stupid and we'll all come up with way better ideas. But the initial direction is Pirate Ship. That's where I'm playing towards. So if you want to play backline classes, if you want to play Scourge, if you want to play Spellbreaker, right? If you want to play Dragon Hunter, right? Hit me up. That's how we're going to do it. We're going to try to figure out who's playing what, and then we're going to recruit based off that. That's my vision. That's how I'm initially trying to build the raids. Okay, so for those who don't know what Pirate Ship is, old school Pirate Ship is the idea that you don't... So typically we've been playing more of a melee push. Melee push because we have heavy sustain, right? So we're typically playing with multiple frontline support characters in the same party, which enables us to push deeper and deeper in, right, with that Condi meta. But given that we're playing heavy, but as you've been seeing, a lot of people run Sigil of Absorption and off their Necros, and they're trying to play Boon Strip. And the idea with playing Boon Strip is to remove the stability. By removing the stability and the resistance, right, I can damage you with the Condis, the bypass your toughness, and I can Condi you out, and then I can CC you. So I can CC you and Condi you, and you're taking damage while you're CC, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's what you're seeing right now. That's what the meta's already been moving towards. It's going to go way past that now because you have 2 classes in the Scourge and in the Spellbreaker that are going to be pure Boon Strip. Forget just Sigil of Absorption and all the interrupts and all that stuff, right? It's going way beyond that, right? It's going to be heavy Boon Strip. What does that mean? It means that if you think you're going to have stability and resistance, you're dead fucking wrong. You're not going to have it. You have 5 stacks, 1 Boon Strip pulls off all 5 stacks. And now you can be gravity welled and shoulder to the bone and ringed and pulled and tossed around with a null field. I mean, temporal curtain, whatever. I can do all sorts of things to you. You're not going to have stab. So if you push in, you better be damn certain that it's a good push. Because if not, if they strip your boons and they play back meaning like 1200 range because we're playing like the Revenant, the Coalesce of Ruin, right? The LAs, etc. Meteor showers, blah, 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 blah. Right? You're going to get heavily punished. You push in, you're going to get really punished. Pirate Ship is saying, I know that if I just push in, I'm going to get punished. So I'm going to play range cannon. I'm going to dare you. And this goes back into terrain denial. And we'll talk more about terrain denial and soft CC and movement impairment. Not this meeting. We raid. The idea is you create a no man's land. Whether it's symbols of swiftness and lines of warding, right? Whether it's necro marks, a host of things. You'll see, and we'll go over it. And the idea of terrain denial. We're basically saying, look, if you push in here, I will strip you, I will soft CC you, then by the time you get to me, you're going to be dead. Because my guys are just lighting you up from 1200. Because it's going to be super hard for you to cross that chasm. And that's Pirate Ship. So Pirate Ship is all about whittling you down person by person, picking people off. That's why Dragon Hunter with the F1 pool, super strong, super important. The F2 leap, super important. So we're going to be moving back to leap, gap closing, veils, extra second on it, leaping in, grabbing 4 to 5 people, chunking them out, creating separation between us and the enemy. Rinse, fall back, rinse, repeat. Back, rinse, repeat. We're not going to play melee push. Not with Spellbreakers and Scourges and the way the Shades work. So, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. I just don't want to spend too much time because we still have several things to get through and we're already getting up on our hour. So, next up, super important, Ethan unplugged the shit out of it on Friday. I say plug it yet again. Right?
Plug
Guild
that.
Bank. The Guild Bank needs your help. So with the expansion in particular, right, and for everyone that knows, I'm going to probably let the first week be PvE, okay? So the first week of the expansion, I'm going to have some raids once in a while because I need sanity raids. I'm sure other people will do too. but I also understand that we're going to probably need to unlock maps. We're going to probably need to get access to the new foods, get access to the new utilities, right? The stones, etc., the new specializations. The fastest way to get them unlocked is going to be PvE. So for the first week or two, we're going to be focused more on PvE to allow everybody to get everything they need so we can be more effective in World v. World. That said, I'm still going to do some raids. Because I need raids, I'm sure you're going to need it too, because I can only take so much of the poison that is Drummer's life. So I recommend, yes, you're right, you will make a fuck ton of money. I think we made hundreds last HOT release. So, first 2 weeks, PvE, occasional raids. Second, Guild Bank. We need Elderwood, we need Mithril, we need Siege, we need Superior Siege. I need people to make Guild Siege. We need tons of Guild Catapults. We are super low on Guild Catapults, Superior Rams. We need them badly. Same with Shield Gens. Need Shield Gens, need them badly. If you have anything to help us, we need saffron bread stuff. We need to make more trays of saffron bread. We need materials for that. We need money for that, right? So we need to make food for everybody, right? So we need Siege, we need money, right? Again, helping with transfers, funding transfers, and then food for the raids. So Siege, food, money. Those are the three things we need right now for the guild. Yeah, but everybody should be doing it now while we're in the raid or we're in this meeting. Again, just real quick, X up in guild chat so I make sure I didn't put you to sleep because we're on the hour. I know how many people are still. I don't do taxes right now. What we'll do is at the end of the 2 weeks of PvE, we'll probably do something. That's what we did in HOT, where we all just threw money in to the kitty. So, take this time. Put stuff in the guild bank. We need tons of materials. We need Siege. I need people to help upgrade Siege. I really need help on it. We're running low on Siege.
I got shit for that.
I'm running low on Siege. I'm running low on trays, right? And then we need to make guild stuff. There's a bunch of things we need to get rolling. Please help. And
Grim,
obviously,
if I may,
yeah, sure.
I will reinstitute the Superior Siege Initiative. It is a wonderful thing that I have done years and years ago. And if you want anything, if you want to donate spirit shards or siege or materials, or I will coordinate it if I am online. My name is Ethan, and I am online pretty often. So please contact me to get materials and siege so you can donate spirit shards.
Those badges of tribute are super important. So if anybody has 50 or
User
100,
disconnected from your
put 'em in.
channel.
So real quick, if you've never been, guys, if you don't know, if you follow me, I can show you. If you follow me, I can show you where badges of tribute. So if everybody can come follow me real quick. Greatly appreciate it.
Very cheap.
Follow me, I will show you. Come over here. You will see what we're talking about. You need these badges of tribute so that way we can get all the guild siege. Look at this vendor over here, the 30 badges. You can buy them. What we typically try to do is put like 100 a pop in there. Again, just buy these badges, put the badges in the guild bank. Again, same with the spirit shards, the tier 5 mats. We need to make tier 6 mats, all those things. Also, the other thing we do as a guild to help raise money, to help pay for transfers, to get people to the server, to help the guild, also to maybe get more guilds on our server so we have more people to work with, build legendaries. If you are interested in helping make a legendary, I am currently paying around 400 to 500 gold per legendary. Meaning I give you all the mats that are not soulbound, you are the host, you use all the soulbound things, you go out with a check of 400 to 500 gold for making the legendary. I then sell the legendary. We use the money to help fund transfers. I also am willing to sell legendaries to guild members. I know for Remus, I have a Twilight. I got to get Remus. I had made a Predator. That Peter, the guild leader, Deanna is paying for. We do this to save money off the TP. I give you half of the money that you save off the TP. So instead of paying the buyer's fee, you'll get 50% of it back. You get a reduced cost on your legendary. Super awesome. You save several hundred gold by buying it off the TP. If you're ever interested in buying a legendary, come talk to me. I've sold probably at this point, I think close to fucking like 600 of these legendaries. I've been doing this for a very long time. My record speaks for itself. I've never shorted anybody. 100% satisfaction rate. Everyone gets their money. Everyone's always been sold. I've raised 40, 50, 60,000 gold at a time. I've built multiple servers up to tier 1. I've paid for an insane amount of guilds to move. I will not rip you off. So, again, we have a process where I put the legendary in the guild bank. I'll promote you. You can pull it out, and you put the money in the guild bank. So, everybody that's interested in buying legendaries, let me know. Happy to make one for you.
User disconnected
If you're
from your
interested
channel.
in making legendary to make the money, let me know.
User disconnected from your channel.
Happy to help you with that as well. 500 gold, nice check. I've had a ton of people do it. Yeah, Wolf made 1,000 gold. A bunch of people have made tons of money. Drummer made, I think, 1,000 gold. A lot of people have made some money. So if you're interested, real easy way to make some free cash. So 1 second. That's that. Again, try to help put stuff in that bank. Next up, recruitment. Looking for members. Nurgle is in charge of recruitment and maintaining recruitment. Anything that has to do with new members is Nurgle. Have friends or people that are interested in joining the guild, talk to Nurgle. Nurgle is in charge of making sure that all the new members meet all the requirements that we talked about in the beginning. Right? And if they don't, they will be removed. All new members get 2 weeks to meet all the boxes that we deem required. If the new members cannot meet all the boxes within 2 weeks, they will be removed before they grow roots in the guild, and then it makes it harder to get rid of them because they're friends with everybody. It's like getting a puppy and you give it a name. No names, 2 weeks. Not to be rude, I don't want to dilute the quality of the guild because we let our empathy and compassion cloud our judgment. Nurgle is in charge of the recruit. Training. We will go over training. I talked about that already with the lecture. So, officers. Okay, so I'm looking for more officers. Right now, I need people that are going to be active. If you're not able to play like you used to play because you have real life obligations, not a big deal. But I just need to find people who can step up and replace you while you're not able to play. Because I need help. I am one person. I have a full-time job and a host of other things I do. My problem is I do too much, and then I try to sleep. So I need help in order to make sure that I don't crumple. So right now, Wolf is helping me with a bunch of stuff, with all the videos and everything. He's responsible for all that, and then helping me with the Guardians. Nurgle's helping with all the recruitment. Right? Drummer handles all the technology stuff. If you have questions and you want to help, Ethanin typically always helps manage all the raid parties, helps manage the guild bank, does all the logistical quartermaster stuff. If you have questions and you want to have an officer role, let me know. I also promoted Siffu too to help with all administrative stuff. I'm open. I'm open to new officers. I'm not against it. I just need people that are willing to not just have a title, but to take the responsibility that comes with the title. I need help. We have so much going on. We're a big guild, super active, right, and growing. Need your help. Especially with the expansion, people are very active around the first couple months of the year. Let me know. Legendary armor, last thing on, we'll talk Warless Pass at the very end. Next thing, legendary armor. Everybody should be working on legendary armor. 365 tickets a week. You need, I think we said about 9,000 tickets, right?
6,000-ish, 7,000-ish.
Is it 6,000?
It's 9,000.
Is it? Oh, sorry.
So you need a total of 6,570 tickets for the legendary upgrade. That's not including the precursor cost. That takes 18 weeks of max tickets per week. If you upgrade via the Ascended Tier 2 armor, that's another 1,300 tickets, so 4 weeks. If you want to get the Tier 2 Mistforged version, that's 11 weeks instead of 4. So 22 to 29 weeks for a full set of legendary armor.
At the highest level.
At the highest level,
User joined your channel.
most people should already have tickets, so you can lower those numbers, but
So going back to Kazi's point is everyone needs to be very focused on making sure they get their pips. Even with the PvE, the weekends are good times. There's a lot of fights to get your pips. If anyone sees an outnumbered map, tell your guild and nobody else. Get your pips. Outnumbered maps, you can get up to 13 pips. Huge difference.
Just say +5.
Huge difference if you have outnumbered on that map. Find outnumbered maps. On this server seems pretty easy. Tell only your guild. Farm your pips. Everyone needs to be maxing out because I'm telling you, especially with meta being in flux all the time, oh my god, it will piss you off something awful having to throw things into that forge all the time and constantly spending money to do it. So don't forget, not only are you farming that, everyone should be, when you're raiding, make sure everybody gets a triumphant armor box, right? So if you're, make sure you're, so reward tracks, right? As we're raiding, make sure you have the appropriate reward tracks on. You should have the triumphant reward track up until you get at least 6 chests. Then you should have gift of battle up at least 6 times to get 6 chests. Everyone needs to be doing this. Then make sure you're constantly putting all your dust, your stars, and all that crap, and making all your bars and refining, because you're going to have to make ascended stuff to break down. So everybody should be constantly stockpiling everything to make ascended. Get your guys crafted to 500 if you haven't. Right? So think of it. You have 20 weeks. Your rate determining step is the tickets. So before that, get your crafting done. Get your ascended broken down. Get your gifts of battle. Get your triumphant armor boxes. Don't get your tickets and then not have all the other parts. You have 20 weeks to get it done. Hopefully for everybody it's less. I'm at 2,200 tickets. Right? Everybody should be focusing on getting their tickets. And I missed several weeks and did not max out. So that's legendary armor. Those are timelines. Right? Learn those timelines. Learn your milestones. Everybody, that should be your biggest priority in this game, besides getting your new specialization unlocked, is legendary armor. Because it'll allow us to go in and out of different builds and experiment and try things without much cost or time. Okay. That is everything. Last up. Borderless Pass server. Okay. So as you've been seeing, more and more people are on Borderless Pass. We seem to have a bigger presence than CD. Some of the guilds on CD have already talked about maybe coming to Borderless Pass. Guilds from other servers have talked more about coming to Borderless Pass. Until someone confirms that they're 100% moving, I'm not going to say more than that or give you names. We probably have maybe 3 guilds that are possibly going to move in the next few weeks. More guilds are also coming on this TeamSpeak. More guilds are asking to come here and play here. We're giving them admin. So this is turning into more of a Borderless Pass server TeamSpeak. It was never our initial intention. That's just the reality of we are Borderless Pass at this point. That's where the community is, so that's where it's coming from. If you know guilds that are interested in coming here, by all means, let me know. If you have friends, I urge you, get them here as soon as possible, because right now, it's 1,000 gems. Before it was 5. Went from 500 to 1,000, then it's going to go up to 1,800. Don't wait for it to be 1,800. You'll be very upset. You'll be spending a lot more money. So if there's people that you want to move them as soon as possible. That's Borderless Pass right now. That's the TeamSpeak situation. That's the guild situation. If you have questions, you can come talk to me afterwards. Okay, I tried my best. 9/11 went over. I apologize. Through a lot. I will open it up real quick. Because we have new officers and old officers, and we kind of have that changing of guard. I'll just open it up to the floor. If anyone has a question on the floor that's relevant for everyone, if you want, if there's not a lot of questions, I'll let just mics go. If we see 12 people talk over each other, then I will just do a quick, X in the meeting hall team chat, and I'll go by order of who X's first. I'll open the floor to whoever has questions. Okay. If no one has questions, I will do a going once, going twice, and sold. But again, this is an opportunity. I won't bite your head off. If you have a question you think is important, by all means, ask it.
Guild chat has a question, I think.
What was it?
Guild chat.
Victor has a
Just-
question.
I can't read. I got DC'd again. 1 second. I'm sure if it's from Victor, it's probably inane and stupid.
No. It's something regarding to what you said during building the pirate ship. You did mention Necros, you did mention Warriors, you did mention Dragon Hunters, Guardians. What about the rest of the 5 classes?
So I'm
Especially
open to the sniper. I'm open to
Hollowsmith.
I'm open to Hollowsmith if you can show that it's a good viable class and what role it should play.
And what about Soul Beast with the boon share on this, or the stance share?
I'm saying I am completely open. I'm saying if we can show that it's viable, let's make it work. If it's not viable, I'm not going to force a round peg in a square hole. That I won't do. But if it has merit, I'm open. Because there is going to be gank again. We are going to be playing gank again. But I also got to figure out what's gank. I think Sniper could have a role in gank. And as a backline class. I'm Was Ellie mentioned in new builds? Yes. Open to Ellie. I see Ellie being more of a backline class. I think I'll be playing more backline.
The Weaver is definitely backline.
Whether it's
Weaver's
whether we're using
backline, but Tempest should still have a place as Oromancer heals, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think there's anything comparable to the healing of an Oromancer. If I'm wrong, but
no, I'm of the mindset of whether it's going to be an Oromancer, whether it's going to be, like I said, whether it's a Tempest, whether it's a Weaver, whether it's a traditional Ellie, open-minded.
I had a couple questions if you're done.
Sure.
Okay, so on the release, I don't know if we're actually going to be rating on the release date, but if we aren't, then I'm going to probably do it on the reset time. If not, then I'll just do it after raid. But me and Sithu are going to be doing the storyline together. If anyone wants to do it with us, it's an 8 p.m. We can do it. I had a question about the spreadsheet. Does everyone have access to it, or only specific people?
Which spreadsheet?
Everybody has access to read it, but not necessary to write to it.
Okay, because I was thinking of putting the minutes in the spreadsheet on one of the tabs, and getting it all documented. But I guess I can talk to you about that later. Yeah, I wrote all this. I wrote all this stuff down as we were talking about it.
Plus, I think someone recorded it.
Yeah, and that's another thing I wanna do is just get the link for it. So, but
No, 100%.
oh, and also
Next.
for Facebook, I'm gonna need you to approve me for that because I sent the request.
I think you've been approved. Let me check. Yeah, I think you've been approved. Now, because Joy, we have Joy in our Facebook group too, so they've been approving people.
User disconnected from your channel.
I think it would be helpful if we, I've said this in chat already, but I think that we should have specific officers with specific abilities.
Sorry, what was the question?
I
He wants
think
to
our officers should have specific roles. Like, we shouldn't just have like 4 or 5 or 6 officers. We should know that we can go to, Officer X for specific needs. You know, if
We-
it's builds or if it's raid times or if it's whatever that is. I think the officers should have more autonomy and more defined roles.
Is that documented in the spreadsheet?
Well, so I mean, a couple of things. So I would say the following. I mean, clearly, I guess like going back to Nurgle's role is pretty defined. Wolf's role is pretty defined. Drummer's role is pretty defined. Most officers, their roles are always pretty explicit. However, I also believe that you need people who are generalists. They kind of handle a little bit of everything. They're kind of bagmen. And there's usually one or two officers that their job is really just to handle administration in general. While other officers, they literally only handle that specific, function. So if it's not in that function, you never go to that person. Now, Space, I think you made a great point. And that is, we should put those officers and their roles in the spreadsheet. I think that will help elucidate that information. Anyway, Nick, any other question?
I think that we should also have a place where raid times are defined very explicitly, because I have been in the guild for 3 weeks and cannot actually find that information.
I'm pretty sure that it's actually in that spreadsheet. I mean, I'm actually pretty sure there's literally, if you go to the information center and you go to the spreadsheet of everything, I believe, though it's I think misspelled, guild schedule. Guild schedule has the suggested raid times.
I think it's wrong because normally we start at 8 p.m. Eastern, so that's actually incorrect if you're basing on what it says right now.
So, two things. I would say yes, we typically do start at 8. Again, those are the suggested raid windows of which will be raided. The reality is, we've been pretty clear about, I mean, again, I'll just reiterate the point. I don't want to have Tuesday is raid night, Wednesday is raid night. Because the issue that we run into is, with real life obligations, I want to just have a flexible format where if we're able to be on at 8 o'clock, you're going to see a raid, and you'll see raids almost every night. If it's not Monday through Friday, like it's a Saturday or Sunday, you'll see that typically raids, I'll run, but I won't force you to come. They're optional. We'll raid a lot more than what's on there. But Monday through Friday, NA Prime, basis point, we usually start around 8, but literally 7 to 10:30 is the raid window. Sometimes we go more, sometimes we go start a little bit later, sometimes earlier, but 7 to 10:30 is typically when you're going to see the Monday through Friday. Those are the times where, in that window, if you're online, you're expected to be in World v. World if there's a raid going on.
Okay, as long as there won't be penalties for people who don't log in or whatever. That's
No,
fine.
if you have a real life obligation, you want to go drink with your friends, you want to go spend time with your significant other, whatever, right? Real life first, period. If you're online and you're in a fractal between the hours of which we raid, the answer is no. Get the fuck out of that fractal, right? Because we're trying very hard to say this is the schedule that we're all trying to raid around. Real life, though, always takes precedent, and I don't want anyone to. I'm not running like I used to when we ran a vanilla WoW guild. It was 40-man, raid dungeons where. It was you had to be here. It wasn't a joke.
It was like a job, right?
Yeah, no, it was like, yo, if you don't show up, you won't go to the next raid. Like, sorry, your spot's been forfeited. Or if you fall behind on DKP, sucks to be you.
Okay, that's fair.
We're not like that at all. But anyway, any other question?
Wolf has a question. He wants to know if weekend raids are still optional, because you have mentioned that a while back.
What, didn't I just say that?
I thought so.
I missed it.
Where I said it. I just said it to Kale's point. Yes.
Yep.
So Saturday and Sundays, like I said, I'll raid. I'll tag up. But I won't make you
I
come.
think he was talking about PvE raids.
PvE raids?
No. Legitimate raids.
Yeah, that's the game plan, and we'll go from there, and we'll see how it goes. Anything else? Well, first before I end the meeting, anybody else have any questions or any comments? Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming. I apologize the meeting went longer than normal. It was a longer meeting, but I think we covered a lot. I think it was pretty productive. I usually hate doing meetings over an hour. I know everybody wants to do other things. So what we can do is if you're